Coming in, coming in. How's everybody doing? Can you hear me so far and see my screen?
I can see you, not the screen.
Yeah, all right. That's coming here in 1 second. Get us all set up. How y'all doing? How's the jungle treating y'all out there?
Busier week, so that is good.
Good. So, like, you still feel like the loan apps are piling up and not getting through, or some of them starting to get through?
Some getting through. I've got some people that are working on, they've done multiple offers, which hopefully they're going to get one of these that they've done this week. But they're very well qualified, very easy, smooth, which helps. And then just a lot of realtors asking questions, trying to get people approved or see what we can do for them.
Gotcha. Anybody else got anything big pressing going on that you're concerned about or that you want to shout out that's going great? A lot of times top producers don't get to share success with anyone, right? All right. Otherwise, we're going to jump into this, guys. So there's several new people on the call this month. There's also several people that have been on the calls in the past. We are recording this. Just so if you guys haven't met me yet, or we haven't had our first call, I know there's a good group of new clients coming in. Coach Korn, I'm in Kansas City. And in case you guys didn't know either from our coaching calls, but I've been in real estate for over 30 years. I've built a big team and had the team be as big as 9 people and as little as 1 person, closing between 60 to 100 deals a year. And it's all done through systems and automation. So that hopefully gets you guys a little excited. If you've been coaching with me for a while, you know the systems and stuff are a big thing. And database and relationships are like core to what I've been doing. In fact, I'm just going to tell you guys right now, the market's no different. You can beat your head against the wall, cold calling a lot of people, trying to get that first appointment, when if you just focus on the people that you already know, the agents you already know, focus on bumping into them somewhere locally, or doesn't even have to be bump into them in person, but get into a conversation with them, become like a partner with them in the marketplace on how do we grow our businesses together. Let's just talk about masterminding. Don't even worry about getting the business on the very first conversation. So today is huge. And if you've been coaching with me, I'll say you've probably heard some of this before, but I don't think I'm completely 100% repeating a lot of it. It's going to be layered in a different conversation today. And as we coach and we talk about building those realtor relationships, think about all your relationships too, man. It is financial planners, divorce attorneys. These are really key resources. And I know we tend to go to the realtor right away. And having been a realtor for 30 years, selling a lot of houses, I'm in the Keller Williams system. I'm actually still part of their faculty. I still have a real estate team. My systems allow me to do this with you guys and be able to help you grow your businesses and bring that perspective of the real estate agent's brain to you. In fact, if you've been coaching with me for a while, you've realized I probably dispelled some myths that you thought about real estate agents. And the biggest myth is, guys, they're not doing anything that we're going to talk about today. They're not doing it. You don't want to put your eggs all in that basket because the realtors aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing anyway. So what you can do with today's conversation, today's conversation is about you. It's about each of you and where you can create your own business that you might not have seen that's there, or maybe just need a reminder of just how much business you have right in front of you, so that you're not dependent on somebody else to build your business. Now, with that being said, we have another webinar that's going to sound similar to this, but it really is a totally different conversation. And that's the 100 homes a year, right? It's the recorded version. In fact, you should be able to just search in your email. And if you're new and you don't have it, just let me know, shoot me an email and say, hey, I'd like a couple of those recordings from the past calls. But it was 100 homes in 1 year. Every agent should be able to sell 100 houses a year with the database that they have. With that being said, today we're going to talk about, you guys actually all have 100 purchase loans sitting in front of you. And I don't want you to just take my word for it. We're going to actually go through it today and show you where it is so you know where it is. And I'm pretty dang sure, without a shadow of a doubt, you cannot challenge that you don't have at least 100 purchase loans sitting in front of you without one realtor sending you a deal. That's why I'm excited about today. This is like my life mission, is to get everybody to tap into this resource, their database. And I call it database as a gold mine. So what I'll do here before I start rolling, because what I want to do is kind of get through the material as fast as I can, but I don't want to lose your questions and your thoughts and your comments, or, you know, if something's popping in your head where you're like, I don't know about that. I would rather you like speak up. So this is a good spot to use. I think I can see everybody on the screen, to use your raise your hand and or just unmute and start talking, and I'll take a breath somewhere and we'll hear you, right? So I want you guys to participate. I don't want this to be a presentation so much as more of a sparking a conversation with you guys and getting you excited about what you really have in front of you, because I get freaking excited about it. And if you're excited about this, this is going to be something that we're going to be running parallel to anything else you might be working on. And we're going to focus on it and we're going to stay on it because it's huge. So a lot of these principles that I'm going to talk about today came from reading Michael Gerber's E-Myth, E-M-Y-T-H. I might have background noise a little bit. I'll see if I can figure out who that is. Oh, I'm going to, if you got muted, I just picked up some background noise. So you're welcome to unmute yourself. If you want to get back in, or raise your hand. So guys, Michael Gerber wrote E-Myth, Why Small Businesses Don't Work and What to Do About, like 30 years ago. I wrote E-Myth, Real Estate Agent, with him because I had basically implemented that book from cover to cover 20 something years ago, about 25 years ago. And I created a real estate business that sold 100 homes a year, just basically on autopilot. And just there's a story in there. I won't get into that today because we don't have enough time to go through all of that. But I lost my wife in 2015. She was my business partner of 20 years. And she was in a coma for 5 months. And while I was there in the hospital for 5 months, I actually had to leave my business. You guys know, I mean, commission business. If we don't show up, the money doesn't come in, right? And somehow we sold, well, not somehow, we sold 97 homes that year while I was 3 hours away in a hospital room for 5 months trying to get her out of this coma. And I'll tell you more about that story later. But the point is that when I got back, I realized that all my bills had been paid. I didn't even know how they got paid, why they got paid. We had 97 sales that year, and it was all due to those systems that I had set in place, because I did it with 2 people. I did it with an assistant and one person that was showing houses, nobody to do the listings. I actually came back one night a week and did that. So sold 97 homes. And then I just called Gerber and thanked him for writing his book, because he gave me this time, you know, that I could be there with my wife. I mean, I wouldn't even imagine a spouse being in a coma 3 hours away and you couldn't be there to know what the heck was going on. So I thanked him. I just called a number on Google, and Michael Gerber called me back and said, hey, we need to write this book. So anyway, what we're going to do today, and I just kind of blew that through that fast just so I can get us onto the material. It's still not always easy to talk about, although I am blessed to be remarried, and we have blended family of 7 kids and 2 grandkids, and we live at the lake. And so life is amazing. And I feel way too lucky to even have another chance, you know, especially after 20 years. So today what we're going to do is, at the very end, I'm going to show you 4 simple steps that you're going to be able to take advantage of the stuff that we're talking about today. And we do have some participation here. So I'm going to randomly grab a couple of names and give you a second to unmic. So everybody really needs to pay attention here at the beginning, because it is the concept that I want you guys to really get. And without a shadow of a doubt, you'll see, I'll show you where these deals are sitting so that you know how to find them. So we're going to do this in 4 steps with the database that you have. And you might not even have everybody in a database. I know that that's an evil word right now. It's like all the changes going on. Well, I'm going to tell you, a database is just a base where data is stored, but a contact management system is something that you may need, but we're going to work off of a list, and we'll work through ways to make this happen so you can get it organized. But what we're going to basically learn how to do is connect with everyone who knows who you are. That's including realtors and financial planners and everybody, but it's also just in your community. You live in your community, and there are people around there that you don't need to wait for the real estate agents to go get them and bring them back to you. You could actually create the business and take it back to the realtors as well. This isn't about giving the realtors referrals. This is about building your own base business so that you're not reliant on somebody else. When we get done with this, I hope you see that the realtor business is just gravy for you. You can actually create enough income and transactions that you need to make your core work, whether a realtor gives you a deal or not. So let me stop there. How many of you, that could be just a little bit exciting if you don't have to worry about whether or not a realtor is going to give you a deal this month, right? So this is real stuff. I mean, it's so simple. Some of you might miss it. And if you think for a second it's a little difficult, or how would that, we're making it more difficult than it needs to be. I'm going to show you how to connect with everyone who knows who you are, or you know who they are. Turn those relationships into business without making business calls. And we're going to use 4 touches to get top of mind so that they know to call you when they're ready to do something, including there's still refis going on. There's still some cash outs happening. There's still other opportunities. Everybody's got a different situation. But the one thing we're going to do is learn how to connect with them first, and then let the business just roll right back to you. When I said I do 100 sales a year, I will tell you it was not done with any cold calling. It is my phone ringing with business back to us from something that we set up years ago, and then just stayed in touch with this automated process. So you guys can see the screen okay, right? Everybody good on the screen? Okay, so it's time to ramp up your business. We're out of first quarter. We're almost halfway through the second quarter. So guys, here's the exciting thing. What I'm going to share with you today, you only need about 3 months to really start to see this happen, to see results coming from it that's due directly to what we're going to talk about today. And in 6 months, you could actually double your business with this if you get committed, and if you make this a part of your daily plan. And it doesn't have to take much of your day at all. I mean, half an hour in the morning, just managing this system that we're going to talk about. So if you start now, you can actually double your business. So a couple of things I just want to talk about. How many of you have seen The Purple Cow? Seth Godin, he wrote The Purple Cow, and a couple of things that he talks about in there. This is like page 4 of the book. Okay, even though I'm a coach, sitting down and reading a book is hard. Like, my brain just takes off and goes. I have to read the same page 4 times. So I can tell you, when I opened this book up, was sitting in a doctor's office, must have been 20 years ago. And I read this on page 4. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. So in advertising, before advertising happened back in the 1800s, old Western town, you would have a guy that would roll into town with his covered wagon, businessman. And he had this elixir that you could drink and it would make your headache go away. I mean, remember 1800s, they probably didn't have Bayer aspirin or Tylenol or anything like that, right? So if they had a headache, this guy would roll into town. He'd sit down at the end of the main street, right? And he'd have these bottles sitting out. And everybody's looking, wondering who this stranger is. And somebody would finally wander over and see what it is. They'd take a little swig, their headache would go away. And then he'd run and tell somebody, he's got some cool stuff, right? So that's how advertising worked in the 1800s. Then we get TV in the 1970s, where they run their first, Bayer aspirin runs their first TV commercial, right? I think it was like 1978 or something. And they reach millions of people on this new tube that everybody's got in their house. So they reach millions of people at once and just blow the business up and get the message out faster. So that was advertising, right? Well, now today, I mean, gosh, tell me about it. Go to CVS or Walgreens or any drugstore and go to the aspirin aisle. And this is, I mean, which aspirin are you supposed to? How many of you feel that way? You walk into the aspirin aisle and you're just like, what the? You can take it in the daytime and nighttime, and you can be awake or sleepy. It doesn't really, I don't even know which one to get, man. So what you start doing is it's like, oh, I got a migraine. And if you're talking to me, I'm like, dude, Tylenol, extra Tylenol is like my favorite. I've tried all the other stuff and nothing works for me. So you're going to go grab extra strength Tylenol and try it, right? Advil, whatever it is. So we do a lot of word of mouth marketing now through friends and family. And that's kind of the world we're in today because everything's coming at us so fast, we can't even process it. So this whole message that we're about to talk about is that and this is what I love about working with mortgage professionals, is we want you to be top of mind when they think of money. You guys get the whole entire money spot in somebody's brain. See, I'm a real estate agent. So all I get is if I'm going to buy or if I'm going to sell, or if I wonder what, the price of a house is, but then I'm thinking about buying or selling. And we're going to talk about how often the average person moves, and everybody who's coached with me for a while, you're going to see these numbers again as well, but I want you to remember that they're there and they're real. So we only get that spot, like for one thing, buying and selling real estate. You guys get the entire money spot, even for if they just want to think about, I don't check on our finances. How much equity do we have? What can we invest in? You guys get to grab that whole spot because nobody else is doing what we're going to talk about today, not at the level that we're going to talk about it. So in this particular example, I just wanted to show you that NAR, National Association of Realtors, tracks that on this first example here, that 78% of all sellers will talk to one agent before they list their house or buy a house. And it's somewhere in the 70s, right? And on two, these numbers have probably changed a little bit, but 18% of sellers or buyers will talk to two agents before they make a decision and use somebody. And then 9% is three, and it goes on down from there. But if you just look at the first two, 69% and 18%, I mean, we're at 70, 80, we're at 90% talk to one or two. And so what I'm going to share with you guys today is if you're one or two that they think of when they think of money, you're going to get the business most of the time. And we're going to get it to where you're so top of mind that when they think of money, they think of you guys. And it's the same thing here. You have this realtor example that when they think of selling, man, we have to be top of mind for 5 years because they might not move for another 5 years. So when you see or have heard statistics that, 90% of sellers don't even remember who their realtor is, I think it's even higher than that. It's because they don't do a good job of keeping in touch once the deal is done. And this is going to go back to every past client you have. Anybody you've ever closed a loan for, done a refi for, we're going to talk about how to reconnect with them and get back top of mind so that you have this mind share from this day forward. All right, get ready, guys, because we're going to play a little game. I want to share this with you, how some of the things that I'm talking about even work and how you can make it work in your favor. So I'm going to, if you are in a not so noisy place and you want to play the game, raise your little yellow hand and I'll grab your name and have you play a quick game with me. There's no right or wrong answers. You can't fail. All right, looks like I got Preston's playing. I need two more players that can unmute and just play along with us. I got Preston. Who else can play? Otherwise, okay, I got Jim, Preston, Jim, and Lori. All right, cool. All right, so this is a real simple game, guys. I'm just going to give you a product. Now, everybody gets to play, but you guys are going to unmute. You guys can all three unmute now, and I'll tell you who's going first. And you're just going to start rattling off as many brands as you can think of this product, okay? As many brands as you can think of. Nobody else help them. But you play the game in your head along with us, right? And so we're going to start off with the first one. And I'm going to give you the first one, Preston. We're going to give you tennis shoes. So name as many tennis shoe brands as you can think of.
Nike, Adidas, Sperry.
Okay. That's cool. That's cool. You did good. You did
New
good. All right.
Balance.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Jim, I'm going to give you one now. We're going to give you potato chips. Oh, I went the wrong way. Potato chips.
Lay's, Pringles.
That's good. You did good.
We'll
You
go with those
passed
two, I
it.
guess.
Yeah, you passed. You passed. All right, Laura, you get the easy one. Here it comes. Have you played this before? Toothpaste.
Yeah. Oh, Colgate, Aquafresh.
All right.
The other one that starts with a C, I can't remember.
Okay, you guys just proved the numbers that I just said. 69-70% of people pick one realtor or talk to one realtor and do their house. That was Nike, that was Lay's, and that was Colgate, or you said Crest, didn't you? Right. And 18% picked two, right? And all three of them, and if you guys were rattling a few off, you probably got about 4 or 5 or 6 out. There's a study done that you can remember about 7 brands, but we can only remember about 2 off the top of our heads, right? And then you guys hit the and you had to start digging. Guys, what we're talking about today is I want to make you be the Nike, the Lay's, and the Crest and the Colgate. When they think of mortgage, they think of Nike, Lay's, Crest, and you. Does that make sense? That's how this game works. And it's so stinking simple, right? So the first thing we have to do to become top of mind is we build trust and loyalty, which we're talking about. I'm showing you guys where this simple list is that everyone in our industry misses. And everyone in the real estate industry misses. Both of them miss it completely. They end up buying leads, talking to for sale by owners, talking to expireds, or talking to all these strangers when the people that they know who might like them and trust them, right? That's who we should be doing business with. And I will say that you are capturing about 10% of that naturally. I'm just going to show you where the other 90% is. But that people work with people they know, like, and trust. They have positive interactions, consistency. They see you on a regular basis. You build credibility by being the source for their questions and answers, even though you don't have to always make all your connections about mortgages. In fact, you get to live in your community as a person that lives there and build your relationship with them and just sling a couple of mortgage things in there every once in a while because they know you do mortgages. When they see you in the community, when they see you at church, I mean, they know you guys are in mortgage. And here's how this works. So in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, which I will suggest that because real estate agents are such a big part of our business in the mortgage world, get the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. If you don't have one, any real estate office or any real estate agent can get you one, and even any KW office would probably give you a copy, especially if you walk in and say, hey, I really like I've heard that this book is awesome and I'd like to get a copy so I can talk the language and help your agent. So in the book, they talk about how you get business and what the conversion rate is. And Gary Keller actually did studies to get the conversion. So what this bullseye is showing is the outer ring where it's the general public. That's where most people do their general prospecting and marketing. Meaning I'm just going to pull up a list of realtors off of BMLS and I'm just going to market. I'm just going to try and get business from the real estate agents. And you're going to try everything from postcards to mailers to emails to, social media and all this stuff. And you're just kind of doing some prospecting and marketing. They may not know who you are. You don't know who they are. In their world, they do the same thing, billboards, bus benches, and they're just waiting for somebody to pick up the phone and call them or catch somebody on the phone. But if you come in one ring, if one of those things work and they actually are targeting a specific group and they're being more on purpose about it. So right now you might look at a lot of your marketing as just hodgepodgey spot. And I get it. You don't want to bug them, right? But if you were targeting a group, so let's just say you got to go speak in a real estate office and you're going to do something a little more on purpose because you're going to the office, you're in their team meeting, you're going to meet a bunch of them. And the broker is letting you kind of either be in the office and do some of that. So that's your targeted group that you're doing stuff more on a regular basis. And that's where we do like a monthly mailer, monthly follow-up plan. It's an on-purpose thing, a newsletter, a bomb video, some of those things that are just automatic and we do consistently, right? And as they grab your message and they pick up the phone and call you and you connect with them and you get to know them, that's when they move into this inner ring where it's now the MET group. And what a lot of people miss out is all this effort to get these people to call us and talk to us and maybe like us enough and maybe trust us enough. And then we don't stay in touch with them consistently, persistently after that, they can drift back out into these rings. So that once you meet them, the study showed do a real consistent, persistent follow-up. And if you've coached with me for a while, we talk about 8 touches in 8 weeks, or we talk about building a timeline for everything you do from now on, that if you are talking to a person that can bring you business, what are the 3 or 4 things before the meeting that you can do, and or the 3, 4, 5, 6 things that you're going to do to stay in touch with them after you meet. And then once you do business with them, that's when they become an allied resource and they're now putting you on their list. And that's your 1 or 2 or 3 realtors that send you all their business. That's when they become an allied resource and you're doing more one-on-one stuff. So the study showed that if they track 1,000 people in that outer ring, it's the bottom box there, or that second ring, if they did 12 touches in a year and they touch 1,000 people, they'll get 50-to-1 ratio return, meaning about 2% conversion rate. And that is, I'm telling you, it is all over the place. I can hear success. I just heard a successful real estate agent in Austin, Texas, talking about how he mails a letter to a neighborhood that just says, hey, would you be interested in selling your property at XYZ Street to my client? And that's all he does with the letter. He has mailed out 15,000 letters in about 8 months. He's spent $15,000 doing this, and he has generated $100,000 in commissions, gross commissions, closed business. And he has about 350,000 gross commission sitting in escrow, pending, or coming soon, maybe, or something like that. So he's generated really $100,000 on his 15,000 that he's invested so far. But when you run the numbers, it's about 1% of what he's converted into the number of houses that they marketed to. It's like 15,000 houses, I think, and he's gotten $100,000 in commission. So no matter who, what, where, when, why, if anybody's doing anything mass and bulk, you're going to get about a 1% return. Now, 50-to-1, I know you guys are good at math, way better at math than real estate agents are, but 50-to-1 is actually 2%. And just so you know that this study came from 28 real estate agents that were generating $1 million in commission, and Gary studied their businesses. Well, those people have all been in business for 20, 30, 40 years, and they are in the community and they do all kinds of marketing around the community. So that 2% is a little bit bigger because they actually have relationships and an image in that community, and they've been there for a long time. Not one person in that interview was new to an area and did that. But when you move them into that inner ring and you get them to interact with you, the conversion rate actually goes 12-to-2, meaning that every 12 people that you connect with after today's mastermind, after you start applying this, for every 12 people that you connect with, you're going to get 2 pieces of business. And it really, truly does work. You're going to get on the path to get 6 to 8 times more business than you've probably done in the past. And it's through personal relationships. There's nothing mass about it. It can't happen tomorrow. This is going to be your next 1 year, 3 year, and 5 year plan. And I'm going to show you some really cool numbers that if you made this your commitment for 5 years, I will show you how many loans you'll be closing. It's mind-boggling. And it's simple because it's going to start with a little, just doing it every day. So one of the things that I figured out is that real estate agents, and that's who I studied a lot, and I've done this with loan officers too, which, by the way, back in the day, 2005, when I first started coaching, I was coaching loan officers before I ever coached real estate agents. And it was through Loan Toolbox and Barry Habib, and I've been in his world, and Greg Frost and all those big names. And I would actually get my LO coaching client to get the database away from the realtor, because once you do this with your database, I am telling you, they will give you their database. When they know that you can produce 100 sales a year for them out of their database through their relationships, and you know how to do it. That's why I was like, man, I need to get you guys doing this. We need to not wait for the real estate agent to do it. Let's just build your core business first, and we'll keep that one going as well. But we're going to build this core business to where they are going to be lining up to hand you their database. And I mean, coaches don't get a lot of credit. You guys actually are there in the trenches doing the work every day. We have a call once a month on our one-on-one, and we talk about direction and how to take action and to move forward. We don't really get the credit for a lot of that stuff. And that's okay. That's just the way the coaching world is. But if you've heard of a name, how many of you have heard of Jeremy Forcier, right? He's been on stage with Dave Savage's group and all that stuff. He'll do a lot of share. He's a sharer. I mean, he will absolutely share. When I met Jeremy Forcier back in the day, he had a very inconsistent business. Some months he'd have no closings, another month he'd have 2. And Jeremy was the one that I took through this information here. And I said, we're going to do this with your real estate agents, and we're going to get them to give you their database. He thought I was nuts. And I was like, seriously, dude, they are not doing anything with their database. When you show them what you can do with it, they will hand it to you. And I still remember to this day when he called me and goes, you are not going to believe it, Coach Korn. This agent just handed me his entire database. And I think it was on a floppy disk. That's how long ago it was. But he was freaking out, and he got 2 realtors to do it. And every time I got the call, I wasn't surprised at all, because if you understand this and grasp this, and they see the value in partnering with you, guys, you can take this over. Now he's a big hotshot, man. He's got big teams, and he closes more than 15, 20 deals a month, every single month, and has done that for years and years now. It's probably been over 15 years. So what happens is when you've closed anybody in the past, even if you've bumped into realtors in the past, or maybe have gotten a deal from them in the past, if you've been in business for a while, or maybe you just got into the mortgage industry and you're still from the community, they have moved back out to the outer ring. Even though we said it was a haven't met and a met, where a lot of agents get confused is their entire database, their entire list of past clients are no longer mets. And the only reason why I know that is because if you got an agent that's been in business for 30 years and has 500 past sales, and I tell you, start marketing to those 500 past clients 8 times in 8 weeks, and I want you to send them stuff. I want you to send them emails, send them letters. First thing they say is, oh, yeah, no, I don't want to. I mean, that'd just be spamming them to death. Right, because you haven't talked to them in the last 2, 3, 5 years, 10 years. So what you have to do is they basically have become not connected, which means that if you're not going to do 8 touches in 8 weeks, mail them 8 things in 8 weeks, for example, and then it says 36 touches, it says 33 touches on this one. They've changed it a little bit. Not that the number matters, but 33 touches a year. Holy crap. That's like every 10 or 11 days you're sending them something, right? So people wouldn't do that. Well, I'm doing a modified version of it. It's kind of like, well, the study says 8 touches in 8 weeks and then 33 times a year forever. So if that's spamming somebody, then you're not connected, because once you connect with somebody, they're not going to tell you to take them off their mailing list. If you're connected, and if it's more than just about the loan, when you just throw them this stuff out of left field and you haven't talked to them in years, they have become haven't mets again. So we're going to talk about that Reconnect plan, and that'll be the last thing I leave you with. So it's pretty basic to understand. So what am I doing? I keep going backwards here. So here's the thing. Well, let me just pause here. Does anybody have any questions about anything so far, or keep rolling? Good. Okay. So here's why it works, guys. Your database is a gold mine because you have a database of people that already know who you are. And when I say database, I mean, you can look at your cell phone, you can look at Facebook. We're going to talk about that. And if you've been coaching with me, you know those two I talk about all the time. But you have this list of people accumulated on your computer, either in your inbox, on your cell phone, you're friends with them on Facebook. All those people, they know you or you know them. That's why you guys clicked the button and connected, or why they called your cell phone, or why they sent you an email, or wherever that list is. People like working with people they know, like, and trust. And if you have a personal touch with somebody versus just mass marketing, you're going to get a better result on that, right? So what is the opportunity? And it starts with this number. I'm not going to go through the whole long version of this. So if this is the first time you're hearing it, it's still going to make sense, but I'm not going to bore everybody with walking through the formula. But what is the opportunity? And in going into the market that we're going into, I know everybody's thinking about purchase loans. How do I get more purchase loans? I've been living on refis and all that stuff for so long. So how often does the average person move? And this is where I want you guys to shout out, either throw something in the chat or unmute and tell me what you think. How many years does somebody usually stay in their house before they move?
About
7 years.
You're 7. Anybody else got 7?
About
I'd
5.
say 10.
5, 10. Yep. And you'd all be right. 3, 5, 7, 10 is what everybody's going to say. I thought I was looking for my chat here. All right, there we go. Throw my chat box over here. Okay, so 3, 5, 7, 10. Everybody's going to kind of tell you those different numbers. So here's the thing. We're going to base this off of 7, just because it's in the middle. And if you have 1,000 people, like right now, if we talk about Mets, everybody who hasn't done this exercise before, go open up your Facebook real quick and click on your friends tab. And in parentheses, it shows you a number that's sitting there of how many friends you have on Facebook. Either start shouting some of those numbers out or throw them into the chat. How many friends do you have on Facebook? And for those of you who know what's coming next, I got 900 from Elizabeth. Okay.
600.
7.
600.
600. Okay. The next thing is pull up your, if you got iPhone especially, I know this works, but pull up your contacts on your cell phone. And when you hit the contacts, scroll to the very bottom. Scroll to the very bottom and there's a number at the bottom on iPhone. I got a 2752 from Tammy. So now scroll to the bottom, start telling me the number of people that are in your cell phone. How many contacts are in your contact list? We got 2764 from Tammy on her cell phone, I bet. Elizabeth's got another 500 there. So we're looking somewhere around, I lost part of my chats here. Got 751 from Jim. So Elizabeth has 900 on Facebook, 500 in her phone. So that's what, about 1,300. Tammy's got around 5,000, a little over 5,000. So you guys can see where these numbers are, right? So everybody's got at least 1,000. So if 1,000 people are moving every 7 years, now this is an absolute. Some of you said 10, so that'd be 100 people are moving in the next 12 months. Some of you said 5. That means 200 of those 1,000 people are moving in the next 12 months. There's 1,000 people right now. You guys all have somewhere between 100 to 200 purchase loans that are going to happen. And it has to happen unless they're really staying in their house 20 or 30 years. And then we're still at 50, 60, even 100 in most cases, right? I mean, Tammy, I'd be getting super excited. 5,000, you got 500 to 1,000 of those people are actually moving in the next 12 months. Purchase loans. So that's 142 people moving over 12 months. It's going to give you 12 purchase loans per month. How many of you get a little excited about this number right now? Yeah. So it is, again, what you have to understand is I'm going to show you in 4 steps how to start reconnecting with these people. You will not be at 12 loans tomorrow, although you are going to be sick when you start doing this and realize how many deals you lose until you really get back in touch with everybody. Because you are about, in the next month or two, if you follow this plan, in the next month or two, I swear you're going to be on conversation. They're going to be like, oh, we just bought a house. We're glad you called. Yeah, it's beautiful. And you're going to be like, oh man, yeah, it's a $500,000 loan. So here's how the plan works. If you were to yeah, go ahead.
Hey, Coach Brad, Jeffrey Nielsen, how are you?
Good. What's going on, Jeff?
Hey, I'm taking notes, my friend. I already printed it.
All right.
I'm loving it. This is right after my marketing partner and wife just had a big, won't call it a fight or argument, but we had a big thing about me calling my clients and me saying, I need systems, I need automation, I've got all this tech. We're not, anyway. So
I
this is-
remember when we talked.
Yep.
She
She
was in the
actually
back
asked
of the
if
room.
she asked if she should be on this call, and I said, I don't know why I said she shouldn't, but she's going to listen to this after the recording. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, I maybe you're about to explain the math, because I just saw I had 973 friends. What is that conversion then, or what's the percentage to do?
So, and that is such a great question. So if I go back to the bullseye here, this is the conversion rate that right now, all of those people are sitting in the outer ring. We're just prospecting and marketing. We're just randomly kind of see what happens. This is where I do say I'm talking 20 years of coaching guys studying this. You're capturing 10% of this naturally. If somebody is a top producer closing 500 loans a year and they're really in touch with their database, it's still only about 20% of their database that they're naturally keeping in touch with. And when I say database, I mean relationships. So that top box there, if you are to move people according to the study, and it is very accurate, I've run the study from so many different angles, and not even just from the book, from other marketing things, it always leads back to the same number. That if I move them from the outer ring and I connect with them, which means I move them to the connected ring. And in this study, that says when you connect with somebody and you say 8 touches in 8 weeks, what you're doing is Super Bowl commercials. I mean, when the old Spud McKenzie days, man, it was Budweiser commercials were everywhere. I mean, you could not get away from there at the end of the grocery aisle. They're on Super Bowl commercials. They're giving stuff away at the liquor stores. I mean, and it was just everywhere. So when you connect with somebody and then you start branding yourself and you just start showing up everywhere, it means that 8 touches in the next 8 weeks after I really connect with somebody good, which by the way, connecting is just calling. Hey, it's Jeffrey. I realized I hadn't stayed in touch with you and I just wanted to reach out, see how things are going. You don't even have to sell a mortgage yet. Don't even worry about it. You haven't earned the right to go there yet, which is why nobody does this, because they don't want to sell their friends. They don't want to sell the people that they know and have to go through the scripts and all that. So all we're going to do is connect first. And when you stay 8 touches in 8 weeks, here's what I can tell you is absolutely going to happen. If somebody says anything about, yeah, we're thinking about moving, we got to figure out who to call for a mortgage. If you've connected, wrote them a note, and you got your 8 touch rolling, they're going to automatically go, oh man, you got to call Jeffrey. I mean, he's all over the place, and you are, but it's like 8 touches in 8 weeks. So you're top of mind. You now became the Nike, the Lay's, and the Crest and the Colgate. Those are the 2 that come up all the time, right? Mm-hmm. And you're not Adidas or whatever some of those other brands are, because that's where we are right now. So that's where the numbers come in. And that says that for every 12 people, you're going to get 2 pieces of business. So there's 2 ways to run the numbers. You can take your 900 and divide, you got 10% of the 10 to 20% of them moving in the next 5 to 10 years. So that's 90 to 180 of those 900 people are absolutely doing a purchase loan in the next 12 months. We're talking about averages, so just keep that in mind too. But it's about 180 opportunities are going to happen, somewhere between 90 to 180. Now the 12 to 2. So if you took that and you divide it by 12 and run it out, you're going to see that that's about the number that we're talking about right now. The second part of the 2 is referrals. Because when you're top of mind, 8 touches in 8 weeks, and now you're just staying in touch with them. And I'm going to share with you, it's not all emails. I mean, that would be a pain in the butt. It's not all mail. We're going to talk about that. But when you stay in touch with them and you're everywhere in all different kinds of mediums and you're just kind of spread out, but you're just never losing that Nike, Lay's, and Crest spot, anybody that says the word mortgage around them, they're going to go, oh, I know who you have to call. So that's why it's 12 to 2. Make sense?
Yep. Perfect. Thank you.
Great question. So here's what happens. Let's just chunk this down, because we got to keep it simple too, right? Keep it simple. You got your daily business you're going to run. You already got your business going. You got things that are going to come in. What we're going to do is layer this underneath and build a base that will be our real core business from now on. If you connected with 5 of, like Jeffrey's example, 900 of those 900 people, if I connect with 5 people a day, 5 days a week, you still get to take weekends off. And how long does it take to connect with 5 people? Maybe an hour in your day, right? But this is the most important hour you could even do. That's going to be about 12. If you did 5 people a day, 5 days a week, 52 weeks a year, you're talking 1,200 people. Let's just say you're going to miss a couple months. If you connect with 1,000 people in the next year, you're already at that 100 transactions to 200 transactions that will happen in 1 year, guys, at 5 people a day. So it's calling 5 people. You might have to dial 20 numbers, but when you connect with 5 people and you can write them a note and put them on a drip plan or a reminder system to make sure you stay in touch with them 8 more times in the next 8 weeks, that's where you're going to start getting the 100 to 200 purchase loans. Now, if you did this, if you just make this your 5-year plan, anybody getting out in the next 5 years? Raise your yellow. Yeah, exactly. If you're planning on being in for now, if you are getting out in less than 5 years, then on our next one-on-one call, we have to do something a little faster. Okay, we got to speed this process up. But if you did this for the next 5 years and you end up keeping track of every single human being you come in contact with, you're going to have 5 people a day for the next 5 years is going to be 5,000 people in your database that you're actually have talked to and written a note to, and they're getting something from you every 10 or 11 days. It doesn't have to always be mortgage. In fact, it can be probably 4 pieces of mortgage a year when you get to this point. But if they're moving every 7 years, I'm not even kidding. 7 years, that's 714 purchases every single 12 months for the rest of eternity. If you never add another person to your mortgage, to your database, that is 60 loans a month and 60 referral opportunities a month to refer out can you imagine if you had 60 freaking things to hand out to real estate agents? They're going to hand you their database and go, make mine do that too. Now we just get into 6 stupid numbers. So guys, this is fun and it's simple and it's so easy. And I'm telling you, there's no tricks to it. There's nothing you don't have to hand address envelopes and not put a return address envelope on it so that they'll open it and see if it's there. No, just pick up the phone and call them and write them a note and say, it was great talking to you. And then stay in touch with them. 714 purchase loans a year for eternity, right? So again, you're going to become top of mind when you get there. Whoa, how did I get way back here? I must have fell asleep on the button. All right. So what does this timeline look like? The 8-touch timeline is mixed mediums. I always start it with a handwritten note. So my mental brain, I don't even have to think about it. If I connect with somebody and have a great conversation, you get a note in the mail, right? And then I start the follow-up reminder system to stay in touch with them. So a handwritten note is my very first thing. And we're going to talk about what that note looks like in a second. But then we send a letter, then we send an email, then we throw a text, then we make another phone call. Keep the phone calls in here. The phone calls are powerful, and I'll share that more with you in a minute. But maybe another letter, then a social media touch, then an item of value. I mean, if you get the monthly, pop buys that we do, great. Or anything. It could be a pen. It could just be a sports schedule. Guys, I used to just print on cardstock the Kansas City Royals and the Kansas City Chiefs schedules. And I would put, those little business card magnets where you got the calendars, and we used to do those all the time. You pop the center magnet out. I would stick that baby on the back of a schedule, and just that would be my item of value. You don't even have to do anything fancy. I'm not even telling you to spend a ton of money here because you're already connected with them. You don't have to send them anything fancy. It's just you staying in touch with them, right? And then once you get through 8 by 8 touches, what that does is we've been branded. So they're thinking of us, we're everywhere. And the 36 touch will keep you there. So you don't have to do every week for eternity. You get to start backing it off. And after you do this for 5 years, you can probably back it off a little bit more and maybe even go from 4 phone calls a year to 2 phone calls a year, because now you've got a long-term relationship with them as long as you kept up with everything up to this point. So on this one, we say, send a letter resume. And every time we're coaching, I'm always going to talk about which timeline for your touches. If you're going to speak at an office, what's your timeline for your touches after you get in front of those agents? I'll talk timelines till eternity. but keep it simple. Like here, just go to your Movement Mortgage webpage, click the About Me, and all I did here with Julie's page was I just right-clicked on it and I said print. I mean, this is actually the capture of the print screen, and I would print it to my printer and I would tell it just print the first page. Like, I don't even care what scrolls past this. This has her picture, it's her About Me paragraph, and it's got her contact information on it. Print that, put it in an envelope and mail it. Woohoo, we're done, right? It just kind of tells them who you are. It's not, there's not bugging them for loans, but here's what's happened. You connected, you wrote them a note, and then a week later, after they get the note, this shows up in the mail. There's nothing offensive about that. They're like, oh, there she is. They get to see your picture, right? So now you're just like, oh man, guys, if you just do those three things and you screw up the rest of it, you're going to double or triple your business. Yeah, I love it, Jeffrey, love it. So here's what a 36 touch timeline is. And again, does not matter what the content is, and it does not have to be all mortgages. In fact, it better not all be about mortgage. You just need a few things about mortgage. But the first two lines are critical. You got to have your phone calls and you got to have your social media touches, and you just spread those out over the year. So it's every month and a half, they get a social media touch, a month and a half later, a phone call, a month and a half later, social media touch. And the social media touches can be different, right? Just Google their name and see what pops up. Or if you go to Facebook and you sent them a message 3 months ago on Facebook, see if you can find their Instagram account and go follow them on Instagram and send them a little heart or something, right? And then the next time you go to Facebook and you see, oh yeah, I've got a messenger message in there. And then you think, okay, I'll check Instagram. You're like, oh, I'm already following them. Okay, go to LinkedIn. Oh, wow, we're not following. Hey, we're not following each other on LinkedIn. Now all of a sudden you're just like showing up everywhere, right? So it's about mixing up the mediums. Sorry, I hope you guys are hanging on with your seatbelt, man. I did have a lot of content in here, and we'll break this down and work on it as you're working on your business as well. But the rest of that stuff, emails, texts, newsletters, whatever, bombs, it doesn't matter. Until you connect with them, they're not probably seeing it anyway. And if you do all emails, you'll become white noise. So make sure you mix it up. Okay, here's our 4 things, and I'll open it up for any questions. And I think we got plenty of time. So the Reconnect Plan is 4 steps. Now, the Reconnect Plan is a way, if you're not sure, like if Jeffrey were to look at his 900, right? Or Tammy's looking at 5,000 going, I don't even know where to begin. And what do I say when I first call? I call this the Reconnect Plan. And with the Reconnect Plan, you can send a letter out first, which means you got to have their address, right? Which you guys mostly, your databases are pretty good with addresses. It's just a matter of if it's accurate or not. So if I send out a letter ahead of time that says, hey, I haven't done a good job of keeping in touch, I'm going to call you in the next few days. And then a few days later, I've got a reminder set up to call. And then I've got a reminder set up to make sure I send the handwritten note. And then I set them up on the 8x8 plan after that, right? So the note's already been sent. You already got the first step done. But what this looks like is send a letter, make a call, write the note, connect, and then start them on the 8x8 plan. And you're going to start with your list either off social media or your cell phone. And my suggestion is to go buy a spiral notebook. And I know many of you have heard this already. Call it your master list and just go through and write those names down. Get all the names in the notebook. One of the biggest mistakes people make is they write the first name down and they start looking for their phone number, start looking for their address because they're just pulling it off. Just write the names down so that you get them all off of Facebook. You get them all out of your phone. And if you want the bonus, go through your inbox in your email and your sent folder in your email and get all those people in the notebook. Then you can go back now as part of your day, your daily little whack at the tree, your daily discipline is to go fill in some numbers and addresses and all that stuff so that you can now, once you open your book and you have a phone number and an address, then you know you can do the first 2 steps. I can get them on the phone and I can write them a handwritten note. In fact, while you got them on the phone and you're connecting, hey, I haven't talked to you in a while, whether you put them in and send the reconnect letter first to set up the phone call, you can do that too. But when I open up that list, if I got a phone number and an address and they answer the phone and I connect with them, then I can just say, oh, you're still on XYZ Street? And they're like, yeah, we're still here. We love it. Great. I can drop the note in the mail. Boom, boom. That will double or triple your business just right there. Then what you're going to do is now move it to the 8 touches in 8 weeks and then stay in touch with them forever, right? Forever. 4 phone calls a year, 4 social media touches a year. If you screw up the rest of it, you're still going to get the numbers that we talked about earlier. So here's another fun one. This never stops. Never stops, because if I pull up Facebook friends list and I'm looking in my database and I'm connecting with people, now if you want more business without talking to strangers, go to your Facebook friends list, right? When you go to a friends list, it tells you how many common friends you have in mind, right? Like there might be, says you got 5 common friends. But if you start looking through their Facebook friends list, you're like, oh, well, I know them too. And I know them too. And I know them too. This is an unlimited list for the rest of history. You will never run out of 5 a day. You can't. It's physically impossible. I've been doing it for 20 years. And I don't even think I have half the people I know on a follow-up plan yet. And it just generates 100 sales a year. Easy. See who their friends are, right? See what they're talking about. So this is the part where everybody gets kind of freaked out. It's like, ooh, it's kind of getting creepy-ish now. Don't be a creeper. Like, you're not going to go stalk their house and peek in their windows, but it gives you something to talk about when you call and go, oh, I saw your Easter pictures. It's on Facebook. They posted it. They told the world, look at my pretty Easter pictures. So freaking talk about it, man. Connect with them, right? And then in the phone calls, why they're so important is because that's where you're going to hear where they might be saying, hey, we're thinking about moving, or it's kind of weird you called. We just started talking about how much stuff we had to fix around the house, and we wonder if we should take out a loan and fix some of this stuff up before we sell it. I mean, you're going to find more refis than you ever imagined, just like some cash outs and things like that to do work. That reconnect letter just says real simply, now this letter looks a little long. It's like, hey, I apologize. Haven't done a great job of keeping in touch. And, when you think about it, people have their family doctor, they have their attorneys. And why don't people have their family mortgage guy that they go to for their whole family? I mean, they're signing their name on the biggest loan they'll ever take out in their life, right? And why don't they do that with real estate agents, right? So, but the important part is at the bottom of the letter, it says, I'll be contacting you in the next day or 2. So what you figure is you mail the letter, it's got 3 days mail time, and then you schedule a call 5 days out from when you started the letter, when you mailed the letter, and that will pop up on your calendar to say, hey, it's time to call these 5 people. Guys, I'm talking about 5. You don't need to rush this. Just enjoy the ride, and you won't even know what happened. In 12 months, you will turn around and go, holy crap, what happened to my business? I'm like busy. And second part of this, when I talk about doing 100 new transactions right out of the chute, you're not. It's going to be over time because you're only doing 5 a day. So what will happen is we'll be able to grow your business into this extra business that you have. You're going to be able to buy 1 roll of stamps for your note cards this month. So you'll spend whatever that is, $55 or whatever it is, right? You won't be spending $200 on postage for like another year probably before you're sending out any more than that. You're just going to keep doing 5 a day. You got a couple letters here and there. So you actually get to grow your business the slow way. All right, just make sure I get in time. So here's the thing about the phone calls, and then I'll open it up for questions. But the phone calls, what we've been taught in our industry most of the time is call and go, hey, have you thought about doing anything with a mortgage? Or are you thinking about buying or selling? That's what real estate agents do, right? And have any of you used this script before? You're calling through going, hey, just calling to see if we can do a mortgage review. You're calling them out of the blue. What do they usually say 99% of the time? Yeah, right. No, we're not really doing anything right now, but yeah, thanks for asking. Oh, okay. Well, they told me there was another part to this script. Who else do you know who might be moving or be doing something? And they 99.999% of the time say what? Well, I can't think of anybody right now, right? Well, no duh, because we just called them out of freaking left field, out of the blue. They haven't heard from us in years. They weren't thinking about that. So instead, strengthen your relationship on the front end of the phone call. Get connected, write a note, and know that you might not get to use this script for about 2 or 3 phone calls, right? So in an 8-touch conversation, I say have 2 more phone calls in there, 1 at week 4 and 1 at week 8. And those phone calls are so fast, guys. You're going to get burned out on the first one, but that's our own fault because we're not connected and we have to get connected again. They got to do all the talking. You don't need to talk at all. Just say, hey, I appreciate you asking about mortgage. It is all good and I'm here to help you. But today's call was about catching up with you. I'll get back with you next week and we'll talk about mortgages if you guys are doing something. Oh, no, we just wondered how the market was. So just this call is going to be brutal, but you're only going to do 5 a day, right? And once you get this rolling, you'll be able to keep it going. And you do need to connect with them. You owe them that. Every phone call from that day forward is never going to be more than 30 seconds, right? It's just not. So strengthen your relationship. What you're going to find, how well do you know your database right now? I mean, how many people have passed away? How many people's kids have graduated? Right now, graduations are going on, right? How many people have moved and you got the wrong address and they moved without you? That one's going to hurt. But do you know if they like dogs? You know if they like cats? I mean, just start connecting with people. And we put our entire lives on freaking social media today. So it's crazy. So a lot of people ask, what's the script when I'm connecting? Ford, old sales script, Ford, family, occupation, recreation, dreams. You probably won't even ever get to the D. How's the family doing? How's work been going, right? And what have you guys been doing for fun? But the dream part is actually more like you connecting them with other people. Like, what's the biggest thing you got going on right now? Anything around the house you need fixed? I got a connection of some of the top realtors in the marketplace, and they know guys who fence guys, deck guys, paint guys, I want to be your go-to person for anything that has to do with your house. And this is where I've always said the mortgage industry, I don't know who told them to let the realtors get the business and bring it back to you, because you could do exactly what we're supposedly doing, and you can do it on the front end. You call me if you need anything. I'll connect you with the best realtor in town, the best painter, the best deck guy, and that's what you can do when you start doing these connection calls. And then the handwritten note after that first connection, no I, me, or my in the note. No, do not use the words I, me, or my. Just make the note about them, that conversation. Hey, it was so great you answered the phone, hearing your voice and your laugh or your smile or whatever. So glad to hear that the kids are doing great. It was definitely worth connecting. Brad, can you tell I've written these notes just a few times, maybe for a few years, right? Just say it. And the first couple notes you write and you slip the I in there, here's what's natural. Yeah, I'm so glad you answered the phone. It was great connecting, and I'm just really excited for you. And I, me. And subliminally, what we're doing is we're moving past the all about me. No PS. If you need anything in mortgage or real estate, let me know. No business card, not on this first connection. Everything else will be branded after that. And it makes it so fun. So how do you start the plan? I'm telling you, you create a master list and you get them into a database, or if it's a spreadsheet, you're going to create 8 columns and you're going to put a date in each column. And those dates should never be more than 7 days apart. And you're going to see what your spreadsheet is. I mean, that's the long way to do it. A contact management system that I can set a series of events to remind me to call in 7 days and send the next letter in 14 days and go find them on social media 21 days later. That's the ideal way. But again, move home was going to get there, but it just didn't make it. You got to find something with campaigns or action plans to fully automate it and get all your people in there 5 a day out of your notebook. The ones you connect with go in, but start with A and go to Z. And that'll be the biggest thing for you, Tammy, with 5,000 people. As soon as you go through your first 5 or 6 of people, you're like, oh, who's that? Who's that? I have no idea. Oh, there's my mom. And that's the first one you pick. No, start with A and go to Z. And it's a, hey, I apologize for not keeping in touch. I'm not even afraid to just sound totally stupid. Like, man, I was thinking of this today and I had not been in touch with you. And I don't remember where the heck we met. Well, it was at church. It's like, church. Oh, okay. Just connect, man. Connect with them again. So always design your plan out on paper. Just draw your timeline and make your dashes, and then just put on there if it's an email, social media touch, phone call, and make sure you do phone calls. Make sure you go real light on your emails. Emails on a connection plan are worthless. If you send them an email every single month, you just become white noise. So if you're connected with them, then they will see your stuff and they'll open it up. And actually, we don't even care if they open up all your letters or open up your emails at this point. Phone call, handwritten note, and a couple more phone calls spread throughout the year. They don't need to see and read what's in your email. They just need to see that it was from you. And the last thing I'll leave you with, and I'll see if you have any questions on here, is your database is like a bank vault. Every name and address in your Facebook friends list and in your cell phone and in your inbox and in your outbox is money. It is your commission from a loan. So don't just hire some $8, $10, $15 an hour admin person going and clean up your database. You need to clean up your database. You need to get them doing all the other stuff that's not giving you time to clean up your database. The simplest way to do that is create a master list, get all your names captured in there, find phone numbers and addresses, and use that as your lead generation or your lead reconnection tool. All right, so let's see what questions we had here. What CRM would you recommend for this? Christy threw that out there. So the one you're going to use. Honestly, that's about the best answer I can give you. But here's what I would look for. If you can find 2 or 3 that will give you a free trial where you're not locking into something, and you just put 3 people in one, 3 people in the other one, and 3 people in that one, and see what you can figure out about finding the campaigns or action plans. I mean, the first deal you're doing is either the 4-step reconnect plan. You're just telling the computer, remind me to print this letter on day 0, remind me to make a phone call 5 days later, remind me to send a note 5 days later, and then remind me to start another plan. If you can figure out how to create a 4-step campaign or action plan in any database you can find with a campaign or action plan, then you can create the 8x8 after that. You don't need the 8x8 yet. You don't need it until you get through the steps and connect, right? And then once you get connected with somebody and it ends and it says, now put them on the 8x8, then you're like, okay, now I figured out 4, I can do 8. Once you figure out how to create the 8x8 and you got people running on it, again, I don't need to know how to do a 33 touch or 36 touch or 42 touch until 8 weeks from now. So once that pops up, then I'm going to go, okay, now I need to do this. And that's why I said the first few people that go through the system, yeah, they may not be on the 36 touch because you hadn't created it yet. It might take you 2 weeks to create it. Who cares if 20 people aren't on it? You weren't doing anything with the 20 people before today. So just keep it simple, right? Keep it simple. It will be the next 5,000 people that are on it, and you're doing it 5 a day. So like, no matter how complicated you think this technology might be, I'm just trying to figure out how to do this with 5 people. Now, if I miss the 5 people today and figure it out tomorrow, the next 5 people will get it. Don't worry about it. Call, handwritten note. If those 2 things happen, you're already going to double and triple your business. So there's a lot of people that just might get kind of in the offside on the front end. Don't worry about it. Yes, this actually is being recorded. And there's free resource sites too. It might have been on a couple of the slides. You'll see that on there. MakeThePhoneRingAgain.com is a free resource site that I set up that has all this database stuff on it. So you can go there. It's got a form that you're going to fill out. Believe it or not, you're going to put your name and hit submit, and then it's going to take you to the website that has a whole bunch of free stuff. Save that under your favorites. But you'll see how my capture and my databases, it just captured your information and it puts you on a drip plan so that you can experience what this drip plan looks like, right? So it's kind of cool how it all works when you get the right CRM. So that might be a question that we talk about on our one-on-ones. Because the right one is the one that you'll use, but the campaigns are the big part for me. Yeah, go ahead, Coach.
Hey, just real quick, since I started Movement, I jumped in. This was back in October, and I jumped headfirst into Move Home. I was really hopeful. We all saw what happened, but about 2 months in, I ended up going to Salesforce driven CRM Jungo. It's pretty affordable. Best thing about it is it's custom. It's got my videos, my messaging. I've got 10 in-process campaign touches that go out to the listing agent, buying agent, transaction coordinators, buyer agent. So along with 8 of those are text. So at this point, I've got the best in-process campaign ever in my 20-year history. So that's already something amazing.
Yeah.
But two,
Salesforce is one of the
Yeah.
best ones. And all we're going
Right.
to do is create this for your follow-up on everybody who's not even doing anything. But go
exactly.
ahead.
So from there, you can create up all the workflows you want. So I've got a workflow that, the minute they're pre-approved, I've got a follow-up for consultation and agent, get their agent info, or whatever those workflows are, right? So from a lead, this is the workflow. So I could create this 8-touch campaign instantly, right? Just go in, create the workflow, the time, and then every buyer that, let's say now I'm looking at my past clients, right? And I'm not going to go put them all on it and kill myself. It's just one at a time. I started with A, boom, they hit the new stage, which might be my 8-touch campaign because I made the call. Handwritten, it's going to alert me, and it's really easy to create at that point. So,
Yep.
And then I'll worry about the 36-touch campaign and designing.
Worry
that
about it
stuff.
later. And write it out on paper first.
Yep.
That's the biggest key I can tell you is I always design it on paper first. I've been doing this for 20 years now. Before I do any plan, I write it out on paper. What day, how many days delayed, and what's the item, if it's an email, mail, whatever. And then I fill in whatever the thing is, right? So cool.
So I was just to finish. So I am not using it for all their actual marketing is really archaic. It looks like it's from the 90s, 80s. I don't know. It's doesn't meet my okay. So I'm using movements, automated stuff as much as possible. But I am hoping to brand more. But the best part is it's absolutely customizable to your exact, like I've got an intro video that goes out, right? I've got, and then I can continue to tweak and edit. I've got text capability, so I can text all my agents on like Happy Mother's Day. This should be going out.
No, that's a
clients,
great,
etc.
so let me grab onto that for a second, you guys. Listen to this. So if you have that system that's got holiday type stuff in it, right? That's dated and it goes out to the masses, right? Not the individual. What I was talking about is starting 5 people that I talked to today on an 8-touch plan, which means that I said the 5 people tomorrow don't start on this 8-touch plan until tomorrow. And the 5 people the next day don't start till the next day. So I'm only sending 5 letters a day. I'm only making 5 phone calls a day, but it's spreading it out. And that's what Salesforce will do. So and here's the other thing is when you pull those people and you connect out of your master list and you're putting them on this plan in that, like say Salesforce, but you've got the automated stuff in the other system. Watch how many people that you're putting in Salesforce that are not in here. So I need to duplicate those exactly the same, which means I'm about ready to blow this other system up to put them on the holiday plan. And then instead of having 36 touches here, knowing I have 12 over here in my movement database, right, system, then I'm going to take 12 of these out and just spread them out. So I'm going to have to do that timeline again. And how many spaces are there in 27 touches versus 36 touches, right? And it doesn't matter if they will overlap on a couple. This is the other thing. Just anytime you start making it more complicated, who cares if they get a Mother's Day card in the same day that they were the 5 people that had a phone call that day? It doesn't matter, right? And the other thing is that when your dashboard tells you, here's your 5 calls to make today, you may find you already talked to that person just yesterday or day before. Just mark it done. I mean, you don't need to call them again. Just, yeah, you did it. They heard your voice. So this stuff just keeps everybody from getting lost. Anybody else have any questions? Thanks for all those shares,
Thanks.
man.
Yeah.
Guys, keep it simple, but you have more business than you ever imagined sitting right in front of you. You don't need anybody to get you the loans. But what we are going to do is do this exact same thing with the real estate agents and show them how to do it. And when you guys get excited about it and start seeing this work, I'm telling you, you'll own every realtor friend that they know, right? Because you're going to show them how to do the same thing. So I know we went over a little bit today, but hopefully you guys thought this was great stuff. See if there's any other questions.
Hey, lastly, Brad, you were saying that at some point we're going to influence our agents and they would want to give us their database to start marketing. We wouldn't be doing our stuff. We would be sharing our system, essentially this system. Is that what
I'd say both. You're going to
Both.
probably have them on this follow-up plan before they go, man, you were like everywhere, right? And it's like,
Okay.
well, how would you like to do the same thing?
Gotcha. And then we just let them in and then we help create something with them. Some of our stuff, some of theirs, some of those touches, right? Could be ours, theirs.
And here's
co-marketed.
what Jeremy did. The realtor will be like, oh man, and then they're like, man, that sounds complicated. The 36 touch, what? He's just like, just give me the list. I mean, I'll co-market everything. And actually, if they call me to get pre-approved, I'm going to call you and say, hey, the Smiths just called because they're tagged in my database as your list, right? Why would I? And everything's co-branded, but if you get the list, that first letter is going to look like a Reconnect Plan. It goes, hey, I was just talking with Brad the other day and he was telling me how great you are. And I just wanted to say him and I are good buds and we work together a lot. And I just want to introduce myself. I'll give you a call in a couple of days and just say, hey, right? Because he said you were awesome. And or you're setting that up to even tell them. So you could call them, do the introduction call. And then when you go, hey, I'm going to tell Jeremy we connected. They're, oh, tell Jeremy we said hi. You know, and so you're going to call him back and say, hey, you need to call these people. They were all excited when I called them. I mean, you're not even giving them referral business yet. You're giving them their own business back and you're getting them connected with their own business. So you're going to own that business. It's like a no-brainer.
It sounds like a retirement plan to me, Coach. Seriously, I could be working in Puerto Rico, tax-free, collecting that money, get my team's already, I've got a team approach already. So I just refuse to make calls. Like I fight with my wife my marketing partner. I'm like, can anybody else help me make calls? Why is everything on me? So that was actually one of my last questions. Sorry to take all the time, but
somebody did ask about Total Expert. And again, that is another good one. As long as it has those campaigns and the more you can customize them into what you're doing, and the more you can even automate where the letters are built in, the emails go out automatically, and some of the texts go out automatically. You still need to make the phone calls yourself. Don't automate that. And don't use the automated note card systems that use machines to write your handwritten note. That's not a handwritten note. That's a follow-up piece. So there's two toughest parts is picking up the phone and dialing and writing the handwritten note. Those will be your two first challenges that are going to try and knock you off track. And those are actually the only two that if you do those two and screw up the rest of it, you will double and triple your business. No doubt about it. So have fun, guys. Keep it simple. Anybody can reach out to me. If you have other questions, you can jump on. Otherwise, you guys can you got my cell phones and my cell phone number in your cell phone. Just call me, text me, whatever, and we'll connect. All right. So maybe calling mother on Mother's Day. I just saw Happy Mother's Day. That might be your very first call, which practice. Drop her a note in the mail, right? Drop her a note in the mail after you talk to her on the phone and tell her Happy Mother's Day. And then you got graduation people. Oh man, if you got note cards, and I don't know if I have one sitting around here. I talk about those just a note or no notecardcafe.com. They have the real estate themes ones with all the doors. So I've been using that for graduation cards going, let the doors of opportunity open before you. Happy graduation. They're not even graduation cards. I don't care. So now you can start calling people that are graduating, connect with those clients too. But really create your master list, find phone number, find address, and make that your call list every day and get at least 5 on the phone a day. Have fun. All right, guys, I'm going to get you out of here.